Hello, everybody. Today I'm super excited because I'm being joined by one of my most favorite amigurumi designers, Katie from Hooked by Katie. She's going to come and join me and she's going to run through some top tips for amigurumi designer crocheters and our favorite designs. And she's going to tell you about the most spectacular course that she has that's really going to help you up your game with amigurumi. For those of you who may not know who I'm talking about, just when I say Hooked by Katie, you probably heard of Vincent the Dragon, that's Katie's design, or the Dragon's Eye pillow, which is just absolutely amazing. But I have to say, in our house, my husband keeps going on at me to make the Howling Wolf that Katie has. It is just divine. But anyway, I'll bring her on and she can tell us all about it. Hi, Katie.
Hi, it's so good to see you.
Yes, it's been a while.
I know, like less than a week, but it still feels like a long time.
Yes, we were in Chicago together for the week last week, weren't we? Which was absolutely amazing.
Oh, it was so great. It was mind-blowing the amount of yarnies all in one place. It was so great.
Yes, it was. It was awesome. And it's just so wonderful to get to actually give you a hug.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to do it virtually.
And I look so forward to my Helen hugs, so it makes me very happy.
And I'm not the smallest person in the room when I'm with you.
That is true. I always take that award pretty much in every room. So
sorry, I've got to take it where I can, Katie. But anyway, we'll crack on. Would you like to tell the people who may be watching a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I'm Katie. Hi. I've been designing stuffed animals for about 8 years, and I just it's my passion. It's so fun. It's so freeing. 3D crochet is really cool because you can do pretty much anything with it. You can just, decide what you want to do and reach for the stars, and I think that that's really fun and really exciting. I'm really into it as an art form, so I feel like people need to acknowledge and realize that they're, artists. So that's what my goal is. That's what I'm out to do, is spread art, spread yarn art. And then when I'm not yarn arting, I do dog agility with I have 2 American hairless terriers. Look them up. They're super cute. They're, naked rat terriers. And then I volunteer with Rebel Legion, which is a Star Wars costuming club. And we go around to charity events, sporting events, hospitals, that kind of thing, in Star Wars costumes, to do, charity work or raise money for various organizations and things like that. So that's me.
Yep, and you actually make your costumes as well, don't you? And some of it you crochet up and some of it you use fabrics for and just have oodles of fun.
Yes, it is. It's really, really fun. It's hard. I'm working on some crochet stuff right now for an Ewok, adding to my Ewok costume. I have an Ewok costume in process. So I'm adding to it with a few crochet things. But yeah, everybody makes their costumes. If you're at a sports thing and, Darth Vader walks out on the field, he made that costume. So it's a really neat way to take your nerd and do something really great with it.
Yes. And you are the biggest, most wonderful nerd ever.
I am content with that title.
Ewoks are my favorite Star Wars characters, I guess you can say. So I'm really excited to see what you do with that one.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you like to show us a few of your designs so that people can get a feel for the types of things that you do?
Yeah. So I do a lot. I do a lot of mythical creatures. A lot of dragons. Pretty much I tend to write something and I get emails that are like, that's great, but where's another dragon? So I make a lot of dragons. My current obsession is my land shark. He's a puppy shark, if you will. So
Oh, he's so cute. I love the tongue.
Puppy shark. I know, big old clunky feet. Clunky feet are the coolest. I love making stuff with big old clunky feet. And trying to, get the shaping down. His teeth are actually all like part of the design. So you start in the middle of his mouth and you work out, and the teeth are just incorporated into it. So you don't have to sew on like 8 million teeth. They're picos basically all the way around.
Okay.
So it makes it really fun. I love designing stuff that way. So it's, modular.
Yeah. And I can see there that people might be slightly intimidated, especially if they're just starting with Ami, looking at all the dragons behind you and then the shark. But you do have a lot of patterns that are suitable for beginners as well, don't you?
Yeah, I've got stuff all the way from bare bones beginner, never made a stuffed animal before. So like I have them on the floor over here. But I have I have these guys. They're little oysters. Right? And they're just the perfect starter piece. It's a little ball and two shells, and you just seam them together. And if you want to, attach your little guy so he can't get out of his shell, you can. But yeah, so I've like bare bones beginners, never made a stuffed animal before, all the way up to, the land shark, which he's not as hard as he looks. I do my best to make things easy. That's one of the things. Is it's if you know the stitches, if you can do a single crochet and a double crochet and increases and decreases, I'm gonna walk you through the rest. That's my job. If I can't walk you through the rest, I'm not doing a very good job. So there's pictures and diagrams and everything to be able to do all the stuff. There's, it's short rounds. So like you'll do, working back and forth, even though your piece is round. Things like that. And I walk everybody through it. So don't be scared of stuff. Well, you can be scared of the land shark because he's a shark, but you don't have to be scared of him because he's hard.
Yeah. So link to that then. Do you have maybe 3 tips that you could put my teeth back in, that you could give beginners who want to have a go at some amigurumi designs?
Yeah. So for absolute beginners, I always just tell them the number one thing is go down a hook size from what you're used to using. So if you use your worsted weight yarn with an H hook or a G hook, go down. So if you typically do an H hook, go down to a 4.4 millimeter is a G, right? Just always take it down a size, because that's going to make your stitches tighter, and that's going to prevent your stuffing from falling out the holes. So if you have too big of holes, if you hold it up and you can see a lot of light coming through the work, your stuffing is going to come leaking out like just through the sides. And it feels like it's not going to, but you give it a few months and all of a sudden there's all this like freaky lint all over everything. It's really kind of disgusting. My other thing is when you do stuff, stretch out your stuffing before you put it in. So like, don't just grab a wad out of the bag and jam it in there. Like take it out, kind of knead it so that it's even and there aren't places that are thicker than others in it, and then stuff your piece. That's going to make sure that it goes in evenly and you don't have any places that are lumpy.
Okay, would that not flatten over time? Kind of like a pillow, if you lie on it too much, it becomes a pancake.
Yes, it can. If you leave too much air in there, like it's still gonna stuff firmly. You're just, if you stuff in big wads, there's tight like little knots almost in it that would no matter how much you knead it after it's in the body, it that knot seems to never come out. So if you knead it out first, and then you can stuff it in as tight as you want to make it as firm as you want to, but just get the bumps out of it first. Get the lumps out of it first. And then my third one would be learn how to do invisible decreases. I know how to, or I have a YouTube videos on it. But they're a decrease that shows very drastically on the wrong side of the work. They're done in the front 2 loops. But on Amigurumi, the inside never shows, right?
Mm-hmm.
So using those invisible decreases can tighten up the places where there's a decrease and keep it from having gaps in it where stuffing can leak out. I feel like stuffing leaking out is the primary thing that we're all trying to avoid in the amigurumi world. We're all just working hard to keep the thing stuffed. So
I think the one tip that you told me maybe a couple of years ago when we were in Colorado together the first time was to yarn under and not yarn over.
You can do it really either way, but yarn under will make it'll make it tighter. But it'll also depends on the type of pattern you're doing. So I'm always gonna say, like, do whatever the designer did. So if the designer did it in yarn under, do it in yarn under. If the designer did it in yarn over, do it in yarn over, because it does affect the shape of the stitches. And I've got videos on that too. I love talking about like actual like stitch anatomy and what it does to them. But in the long and short of it is it makes wider, squatter stitches. They line up better, so there's less of a tilt, they don't lean.
Okay.
But that can cause problems when your designer uses yarn over and they have factored in the tilt into their stitch positioning.
Okay.
Like then your stitches might not be in the same places there. So whatever it is, swatch it, gauge swatch it. I know gauge doesn't seem like a thing in amigurumi, but it totally is. And just do what the designer did, because then you're gonna get the closest thing to what they made.
And I'm guessing it doesn't take very long for you to get the hang of all of these things. Just a couple of projects and you're away.
Yeah. I mean, it's all the same elements. You're just using them over and over again in a variety of different ways. And it's so funny. Like, I watch you guys crochet at mastermind events and everybody's using all these different stitches. And I'm like, I single crochet all day. I think that's the only thing I ever do.
Yes, but look what you create, Katie. It is just amazing. And that idea you were talking about when we were all together was just, I'm just so excited for that.
I'm excited too. I love getting
I'll not spoil the surprise for everybody, but it's
going to be a cool one, guys. It's going to be fun.
It really is. It really
and I promise there'll be a dragon this time, since I keep getting yelled at for more dragons.
So we've talked about the kind of the different stitches that you might use in Ami compared to other patterns. Is there a difference between the way patterns for Ami are written and standard patterns like blankets and scarves and things like that? Is there something people should watch out for or be aware of?
I think the biggest thing is there's going to be a lot more instructions that are like written out than just lists of stitches, or like, just the abbreviations for pages and pages. There's going to be a lot of places where you stop and somehow like attach something else, and so like read ahead a little ways, because sometimes you'll find that like the description of how to attach that thing is in 2 paragraphs and you're trying to do it and then you're gonna do it wrong. But they're always full of instructions. Ami patterns usually have a lot more pictures if they're done by a designer that has the same brain as me, that says, if you can single crochet, you can make this, I'm going to help you. Then it better be full of pictures, right? Because we need to see if we're like anywhere close to what it's supposed to look like at this row or whatever, right? So it should have lots of pictures. I usually tell people, if they're going to get into Ami, especially bigger, scarier ones, pay for the upgrades, buy the patterns, because you're going to want the umpteen gazillion pictures that it needs that just don't fit on a blog. Any blogger will tell you they'll slow your website down to a crawl and you'd hardly be able to use it. So to be able to have the best experience, you're going to want all the pictures. You're going to want all the help you can get.
Yeah. And I know your patterns are really awesome for that. You have tens and tens and tens of photos. You take them through it step by step where they need to be taken through.
Yep. And my testers will even say, like, I need one here. And I'm like, okay, so we'll make one for that exact spot. And so it's very important to make sure that you can look at it and hold it up and say, this looks like the one in the picture. And so I know where I am.
Okay, excellent. And now we'll mention your course that you
Yay!
currently have the doors open for.
Whoop, whoop. Yeah, the doors are open.
Yep. Do you want to tell everybody what the course is, what's included, how it works, when the doors close, and if they miss out, how they can keep up with when the next...
Okay. Stop me if I miss anything and keep reminding me of stuff. So
I've got so many questions in my head, they're not coming out of my mouth at the
No,
moment.
you're good. So I have a course, it's called Next Level Amigurumi Design. And the idea is to let people be able to make all these crazy things in our head. I was talking before about how fun it is that 3D crochet has all this capability. And when I started making stuffed animals, I didn't think that. I thought it all had to be like balls or ovals or like tubes, and that was really your only option. You were just going to kind of sew them together. It wasn't until I got, learning how to do other things with it that I realized this can do anything. This can be pointy, or it can make corners, or it can do all kinds of stuff. So I've put all that together and made it so you don't have to experiment and waste all the yarn. Figuring it all out. And I have it like throughout the course, you make a bunch of samples of different shapes, different corners, different curve methods, different attachment methods. Like we talk about bottom up quadrupeds is a really fun lesson. So we make 4 legs and how to attach them and then build the rest of the body off of those 4 legs. Making more one-piece things. And I teach you how to do it in a way that you can write your pattern, write it all out, do all the math ahead of time, which sounds scary, but they're, again, not hard math. It's mostly like a little bit of division here and there. And write like crazy patterns like land sharks, write them out and then just make them the first time. Hopefully the first time. I think this guy has 1 extra head that I didn't like. I got to his nose one time, not quite sure how I was going to do this. But I'd never done this method before. Now that I have, we're probably doing a masterclass on it within the course. So yeah, so that's the course is really, really fun. The doors close on May 15th. And if you enroll before the 15th, you get a little mini course that I put together that's called Profitable Plush. And it's an amigurumi centric design business like handbook. It's dealing with some of the mindset stuff that comes with it. It's dealing with the fact that we're a niche that doesn't match other niches. And so we deal with some business problems that other businesses don't. And so we deal with some of that. It used to be part of the course, and my beta testers basically were like, break it off. Like, it's way too much. Like, I can't do it all. So we split it out so that it's a little easier to manage and work through than just the design course.
Okay. So is this course for hobbyists? Is it for designers? Is it for people who maybe think, I've seen this pattern, but I want to mix it with this pattern. How do I make that work?
Yeah, it's kind of for all of those people. So it's definitely for designers that want to do it professionally, that want to like ramp up their abilities. If they're making like relatively simple things, or they're at that stage that I was where they think the only things they can make is, ovals stuck together. I want to help them take their stuff to the next level. I want to take it one step further. And then it's also for hobbyists because it allows you to make things that don't exist. So, if you can't find a pattern for like a creature in a TV show that you're dying to have a copy of that you must hug, not to sell, but to hug.
Yep. The one you get into bother for selling them.
Yes, you get in trouble for that. But,
yeah.
But like, say you really want this thing, but you can't figure out how to make it. I'm going to make it so you have the tools to make it. You'd be able to say like, oh, his tail does a loop-de-loop in this thing, and I wouldn't know how to do that, but you'll learn how to do it. You'll learn how to, there's a big swirly snake that hangs around. The idea is that it will hang around your neck. And we did all the math for it in the course. And so there's a video that's doing the entire math for all of the curves for the whole snake. Before we ever picked up a hook. So it's a fun way to do it. That takes a lot less stress, a lot less like test and tear.
Okay, so I'm listening to you thinking, oh my goodness, I think I'd rather grade a top. Like, like
no, it's not
grading for all the sizes. That sounds quite intimidating, sweetheart. But
that's why it's fun. That's why it works. So it's just really simple math. We're literally taking how many stitches does your tube have around? Okay, that means, how many stitches are you going to need on your short round to make the angle that you want to make? And it's just a formula. You plug and play. And it's just a formula that I created. And so then you can do your, okay, I'm going to need, 5 sets of short rounds here. And then that will make the angle that I want. And then I can keep going on my pattern. And I don't have to just guess and figure out, like, rip it out and be like, no, I don't like that angle. And rip it out again. No, I don't like that one either.
So you don't need an engineering degree to do this one.
Oh, heavens, no. I think that it is very much like addition, subtraction, and a little bit of division. It is not
just
like
the basics.
Hard. Yeah, it's very, very easy.
Excellent. And then if people miss the doors being open for this one, what are the options there for them?
So once the doors are closed, the site will just switch over and the main page will have an option there where you can sign up for the wait list. And then I contact people usually a week or so before the doors are going to open to let them know it's coming for waitlisted people. And then any kind of announcements of that nature, like launch announcements. And then they'll be the first to know that when it opens again.
Excellent. And I'll pop all the links for Katie's course in the description box for everybody. I'll put the links to your website, and you've also given me links to 3 patterns that people might want to check out. There's a beginner, an intermediate, and an advanced pattern that are free on your blog.
Mm-hmm. All my patterns are free on the blog without pictures because we talked about the speed issue. But all my patterns are available free on the blog if you want to, go at them and just figure you don't need the help looking at the pictures.
Or even if they're just starting, maybe they don't think they're quite ready for your course yet, but they could sign up and be on the waiting list for next time.
Exactly.
In the meantime, they can check out some of your easier patterns and build up their skills until they feel comfortable and confident.
Well, and they can see them in action. They can see how the short rounds function and how it works and what it does, and how all the branching and merging techniques work together in various things. And it's also really great because you can go through and read the whole pattern beforehand and see, like, if you like my writing style, if I'm somebody that you're going to be able to follow easily, before you ever have to, pay money for it. It's really frustrating to pay money for something and then get it and be like, I can't even read this thing. Well, it'll be the same text. It just it'll be a little bit ramped up.
Awesome. Well, I'll put all the links everybody needs in the descriptions, all the places you can find Katie, how to get in touch with her, and the information to check out the course. Yeah. If anybody has any further questions they want me to ask Katie, then just leave a comment and I'll see if I can get the answers for you. And if not, maybe I can put you in touch with Katie if that's appropriate, because I don't want to be sending, lots of people, so you have 700 emails to deal with.
Go for it. Go on my email box. I like answering questions. Hopefully the site does a good job of answering questions about the course and stuff. So hopefully I've done my job filling in as much information as people need. If I haven't, that's my fault. So I deserve to be emailed and told to answer the question.
I bet you don't get very many of those emails.
I try really hard to be thorough so that people don't need it, so that
Yes.
people never feel like they need that help.
Okay, that's awesome. Well, thank you very much for your time, sweetheart.
And thanks for having me. It was so good to see you.
I know, I miss you, darling.
I know I miss you already.
Take care, and I'll see you soon, darling.
Okay, see ya.